Hey guys, Ian here once again. We're going to quickly go over the basics for bringing in a new uh, character model for multiplayer game. So the essence of this is the robot avatar or the multiplayer avatar, which you can mix into your own avatar. But for sake of simplicity, all of our spawn points are calling robot avatar. So I'm going to mess around with the robot avatar. Um, So the first things to be aware of course, is the actor KFM asset. You'll want to change this out for your appropriate asset. As you can see, I've already swapped out for Striker Cloth Ragdoll, so I can have a new guy running around. Uh, the point after that, though, you want to look into are swapping out your animation names. So we have a bunch of properties in here for different animations, um, and essentially we on the multiplayer game site understand what these are supposed to be, and most of these are pretty self-explanatory. Example being aim forward, uh, aim up, and aim down. Um, for artists interested in using this setup alone, and assuming your programmers aren't going to go in and mess around with it any further, aims up, aims down, fire ups, and fire downs. Those assume a 60-degree up or 60-degree down angle. And firing forward assumes aiming at something along the lines of 100 feet in front of you. So just to be aware, when you're setting up all your angles and all your goodness. Um, you'll notice that on our avatar, though, we have a default set of animations. Essentially, for if nothing else is there, I want to use the pistols, firing, aiming, hitting, drawing, reloading sequences. So, I mean, cool there. For our walks and our runs, you'll see that we have a walk anim speed. This is a speed in game units at which the animation moves the characters. So, let's talk about scale briefly. In multiplayer game, all of our characters, everything is modeled in centimeters as meters. So, if you want to think of centimeters as just a generic unit, and then that gets converted into what we use as meters. So, example being the Striker Cloth Ragdoll character that I have up here. He is 2 centimeters tall in Maya. He ends up being 2 meters tall in here. Or his animation walk forward length is 2 units in length forward, which is not true. Striker actually has no animation. This is actually from the multiplayer game avatar, which steps forward 2 units. So an artist way to think about that is, one step forward and then the second step forward. That's your overall length of movement for that animation. The second one is a modifier. So the speed at which to play it. So if it's at 0, what that means is he's just, as he plays his animation, he's just simply going to move forward that many units. So his walk is 2 units forward, kind of deal. There is, if I remember correctly, there is a multiplier for the analog speed, so that will get modified in. So it's to reduce slip and slide. You'll notice under our run we have a 5 units forward, but we actually force them forward at 9 units. So we scale that animation to make it look right. So you can play around with these settings and make sure that they're right for you and your character. Something else to note are your character height, character radius, slope limit, slope offsets. Slope limit is what you can walk up. Slope offset is how high the character can set, so stairs, in units. The character radius and the character height should set up this capsule for defining his physics movement. So make sure these fit your character pretty well. If you need to test these, one of the F keys, I believe it is F7, will bring up the physics debugger within multiplayer game. The right attach node. So you can add attach nodes to your characters. And in code and Lua and whatever, you can have things attached to your character and move along with it. So This one is actually misnamed, so I'm going to show you really quick how to check on, let's say, a joint or an object that you want to attach to. In Asset Viewer, this is the Striker character that we were just talking about. Striker is actually part of the War Machine IP and used with permission from Privateer Press. I'm just going to go in and check under his skeleton, go up his pelvis, go up his waist, go up his chest. We'll go into his right shoulder. That's his cover. There's his right shoulder. And then arm, hose, elbow. Okay, it's RT wrist J. So I'm going to add that in there. And so this is going to be really messed up. This character is not animated. He is in T-pose. And there are some considerations when doing it in this fashion. Now, you will be able to rapidly iterate on all this, right? So you could potentially export your character, get a KFM set up, and then start importing animations one by one into the KFM, and then updating that on the fly, working with only one animation, which is, that'd be pretty cool. I'd advise have, a group of animations done. Right before I load up multiplayer game to show you that he will in fact load and he's going to look goofy as hell, just let me make one last note on your fires, upper bodies, and your aims. These are all layers. So when you're setting up your character in the sequence editor, you set these up as layers essentially just for the upper body. This way, it's the code that we have written for multiplayer game. It doesn't allow blending of animations, but it does a pretty good job of getting these things to work all together really nicely. So just remember that all these have to occur while running, or standing, or walking, or whatever. So it's best to have these just as layers. And one last thing before I load up multiplayer game. Weapons, they mix in a animation set. From talking with everybody, this animation set is essentially like a miniature override. So one, you'll see that, so the machine gun you're holding, the machine gun says to the character, you're holding me. The animation set says to the character, cool, okay, here are the animations you're going to use, and here are the sprites you're going to use. So you'll see that, hey, look, our run speed is actually modified down to 8. We have rifle forwards, and rifle hits, and rifle aims, and rifle fires, and a rifle idle. So the gun will override the basic setup. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and load up the multiplayer game. One sec. And here we have Striker, and he has a weapon attached to his wrist. You'll notice that I am the correct height, but the weapon is huge. This has to do with inheritance from the attachment point. The joints on Striker are scaled, so an unfortunate art side mistake on our end, on my end, pardon. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, there are some problems though. Like you can see, I can fire, but I cannot reload. If you reload, you can no longer fire, because what it's waiting for is for the reload animation to complete so that you can fire. Since there's no reload animation, well, I can't complete that animation, therefore I can't continue on. So, anyway, that is the basics for getting a character in. The rest of it is all essentially grunt work. You gotta get in there, animate your character, make him look good. For programmers looking for more info on this, I'd say hit up support, and you'll probably get Jeff again, who will answer your questions about how all these systems work together. Alright guys, take it easy. Bye.